Howdy, howdy, folks. Welcome to Babble with Bronies. I am your host. My name is Everlasting Joy. My co-worker is Mr. Ben. And Twilight is Magic, he's out on something, I don't know, but he won't be here this week or next week. But we wish him the best of luck and best in whichever endeavor he is partaking. Yeah, Tim's not here, so for those of you, say hi to him for me. Anyway, really rushed here. It's gonna be I'm afraid, folks, but hopefully we can make something good out of this. First of all, we just want to say we hope everything went well for our good folks out at Germany, the folks of Galacon. It was this weekend. We hope that everything went well for them in everything, and I mean, everything went to went in their favor. We also want to wish all those who were at BronyCon the best of luck. Also, for the staff of BronyCon, we wish they too that fortune smiled in their favor. One other thing I was going to touch on. I guess not. Yeah. One other thing. Expect lag. I'm hoping things will go nice and smooth, but there's probably going to be lag. All right, folks, y'all ready to get this show on the road? All right. Okay, let's as always start with the news. But which one do I want to start with first? I'll just go down the list here. Our good friends at Buck, the UK Brony Convention, have a couple of announcements I do want to bring up. It's just mostly I'm just going to hit some passing notes here. They have new information on the Summer Sun celebration that we've talked about, and a T-shirt. They have the second wave of Summer Sun celebration tickets, so if you want to purchase them, go ahead. By the way, here's the link. Where was I? Poor Matt. Anyway, if you want to go to the Summer Sun celebration, it's a separate purchase than just the convention itself, so you got to pick up your own ticket. But anyway, they're on sale, as it says here, or available, I should say. They're not on sale. Will be available for purchase from noon Monday the 29th of July. In addition, they have this awesome T-shirt you can pick up. Claim yours by purchasing a Buck 20% cooler ticket. It's like if I recall right, it's the upgraded ticket. It's not just your standard issue one. Oh, that's awesome, Muffinshire. Are you going to post it for us to see? Thunderbolts, you can find that information on their website. If you need it, if you need the link to the website, just talk to me or Mr. Ben after the show. We'll show you in the right direction. Okay, Muffinshire. Anyway, there's that. Anyway, I promised you guys I'd start covering the comics, so I will follow up on that. But nothing really grand like new releases or anything, so I'm just going to kind of touch on some of them that I found here. Hot Topic has this, their variant of issue number 10, the IDW 10 comic. You can find it here. Not much to really say, it's just the design that I wanted to hit. It's also for purchase, so that's why I'm covering this, because it's a purchase. Anyway, the Hot Topic variety is available. If you love it, you want it, you can buy it. There you go. Speaking of comics, the only big news that I saw, but it's not something like, a great, or something that all of you are going to get. I'm not. That's for certainly true. IDW announces an MLP Deluxe hardcover. To make a long story short, there's a quote, a new MLP hardcover collection that was announced at San Diego Comic-Con a couple weeks ago has received more details, including pricing and pre-order details. Long story short, you can pick this up. You get exclusive, expensive, highly rendered comic books for collectors with the original artwork sold directly from the publisher. They'll be having pre-orders next week. I assume that's this week. Each day with a different cast member variant. Here's a look at the kind of things you'll be seeing during Ponypalooza. Pricing is $7.50. End quote. If you want to buy this collection, pre-order starts Monday, August 5th. Copies start shipping September 1st. I know I'm going a little bit fast here, folks, but it's news. This kind of stuff happens. So for all of you who are new here. But anyway, yeah, $750 for, I assume that's all of it. Either way, comics. One other thing in terms of something worth covering in the news before we finish up with the Brony State stuff. Twitter announced a trading card game by Interplay. Yeah, all about the money, Mr. Ben. Twitter announced this morning there'll be a collectible card game on their series of trading cards to be published by Interplay. They will demo the game at the gaming convention Gen Con on August 15th to the 18th in Indianapolis. Hey, you make that sound bad, Mr. Ben. Michael. Warped, I can already hear that joke in anyone's abridged series. I really can. Sunset Shimmer OP, please nerf. Yes, for the record, I'll keep tabs on the trading card games as well. Not that I'm aware of, Alex M. They're trading cards, but they're not a trading card game. And that's the big difference. Is these would be a card game like the old Pokemon cards or Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but they currently do have trading cards where it's just, hey, I got this card. To that end. Thunderbolt, all I know is what that article just said. So, where was I? Oh yeah, wrapping up the news. Just the movies for Brony State this week. We have the Blues Brothers for the A movie. Pony 1 is the Return of Harmony. So that's the entire 1 and 2 part. Lupin the Third, the Castle of Cagliostro, forgive me, is the B movie. And the Crystal Empire is Pony number 2. So it's going to be a long night, especially for whoever's streaming it. But I digress. The point is, stop by this website, Brony State, this Friday, the 9th, at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, or 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Saturday for the encore. So, hope to see you here, hope you like what you see, and hope you stick around. Alright, folks. Moving on to videos and art. Which do you want first? For the record, we've got 2 videos and about 21 pieces of art. Five to 2, 6, 3, 4 videos, 6, 5. Okay, I'm gonna call it here. We're going with art. Yes, yes I did. Alright. Then let us do that. I made sure to get a lot of comics. There is something I will bring to note here, folks. Given that a lot of the prints that this was BronyCon and Galacon weekend, what was it I was going to say? A lot of people had prints for these conventions, and I thought I could show these, but it's a matter of relevancy, and I thought I'm just not going to show a lot of these prints just for that reason. So I got a fair amount of new people in here, and I got a fair amount of new people in here, and I made sure to get plenty of comics as well. So for those of you who enjoy my terrible voice acting, today's your lucky day. Oh, who do we want to go with first? You know what? I've never started off a show with him, so I'm going to start with him first. These first two are by our good friend Joey Darkmeat. First one's titled Fishy Reaction, and yes, there is some voice acting here. I told you many times, your fallen friend is allergic to the fish cakes, but you had to be all, little pony shy has rumbles in her tummy. Evie doesn't know when to be serious. A common symptom of being stupid. Yeah, that was the world's worst medic impersonation, and heavy. But hey. That's what I always... I like that he does this kind of stuff, these TF2 MLP crossovers. I love it. Alright. And this next one, bit of an odder one, but do you accept the mission? Something that I do that really struck me about this one is... just going to ignore the comments here. I like this. Mostly, for those of you who don't know, I'm not much of a fan of anthropomorphized ponies, but this one works really well, surprisingly well. And I think the reason it does is because it's not overdone. So kudos to you, Joey, for keeping it subtle. There's the link. Like it, favorite, comment it, follow him. And tell him I sent you. Who is here really quickly. I know I really shouldn't do this during the show, but people come, people go. But anyway, since he's here, I don't really think I even need to bring... I don't think I need to say much about this one, but yeah, I will. This is Twilight's First Day number 12 by Muffinshire. Shall we begin? Come along now, sweetie. We don't want to be late. While I'm thinking of it, Muffinshire, did you happen to make this... the comic seems like it was the setup for the comic setup seems like it was tailored for this. Is that true, or did you just happen to make the dimensions of it just because? By the way, there's your resolution from the last comic, folks. Okay. Yeah, it just seems a little bit skinnier, and that's why I asked. What are we going to do now, Smarty Pants? I admire your guys' flattery, but in the words of oh wait, no, never mind. Flattery gets you nowhere. Excuse me, sirs. How long will it take to get to the school? Across the way, all the way across town at this time of the day? Oh, about 20 minutes if we're lucky. But school starts at 8 sharp. Isn't there a faster way? We could take a shortcut across the mountain pastures. I do it all the time with the one-pony taxis. Don't be ridiculous. You'll get us in trouble again. Anyways, it's not our fault they're going to be late. I don't know why I gave the yellow pony a sillier voice, but that's okay. Oh, for goodness sake. Fine. Are you sure this is a good idea? Yes. On the other hoof, maybe not. Twilight's First Day by Muffinshire. Any comments you want to give us, Muffinshire, while we're still on the topic? Oh, wow. That's mostly because I wanted to sink in Wonderbolts. I want people to appreciate the scenery. It's a good point to bring up. I can go faster if you guys want, but the point is I do want people to have some appreciation of the scenery. To just blow through it, I find is a bit tacky and pathetic on my behalf in regards to the creator. Oh, Muffinshire, that's harsh. That is harsh. Anyway, let us move on. Yeah, we can do this one. Alright, this next one is by a new guy. Pride Dark. By the way, that's an awesome name. titled To the Adventure. I saw this one and I just knew I had to put it on there. First of all, the thing that really caught my eye with this one was the fact that I love the concept. Rainbow Dash and Scootaloo hanging out. I know that's everyone's hope for season 4, or at least it's one of mine, and I bet good money after episode 6 in the last season. A lot of people are feeling about the same. And in this regards, that was one of the reasons why I grabbed this. 2, yeah, the cosplaying is an awesome concept. 3, look at this detailing on this. You can see it in the wings in particular. Zoom in a little bit. You can see in the wings in particular the high level of detail this one gave. It's very well crafted for, it's just very well crafted. Moving along now. Oh, which one do I want to go with next? Since we're on the topic of high quality and colors, let's go with this next one by Costine, titled Morning in Cloudsdale. I love that description. Something that I want to point out that really stuck out to me wonderfully on this picture was the sunset or sunrise overtoning colors to this one. They doesn't give... I should be taking a drink of alcohol right now. I said sunrise or sunset, and it says morning. Anyway, I love that overtone. It gives an actual idea of morning. I know that sounds kind of silly given the title, but I just love that overtone. I can't get enough of it. The clouds flowing off of her the way they are, that's an impressive... that is an impressive attention to detail. Iwa. Or Iwa, I'm sorry. That rainbow is a nice touch in the picture. I tend to get a little bit jittery and happy when I'm drunk, Mr. No, actually I get to be more depressed and angry when I'm drunk. Shizu. Alright. I gave it... Who else is... I swear, one of the things that I hate to do, folks, is to show someone's work towards the end when they're already here. So it does make me appreciative when they say, like when Muffinshire pops in and says hi. So you're going to have to forgive me if I'm being a little paranoid in the notion of, there's someone here. There's someone here. Who's here? I need to show his or her work. Okay, we'll go with this next one. This next one's titled Twilight's First Lesson by Makalania. I've had her work on here before, but this one, I like the direction she's going with in these folks. She's adding multiple subjects to some of her works now, and I like this because of the... I like this because we can get some good interactions like this one. Something else I want to bring up is 2 things, the framing and the lighting. The framing in here, the trees here create a really nice frame for this whole picture, so it draws your eyes away from the corners, which is really good. And another thing that really helps draw the eyes is the lighting, as I said. She's managed to create a very effective use of the lighting such that Twilight and Celestia light up, and it's so subtle, but it works so wonderfully because it draws your eyes towards them and to the bubbles or something that they're conjuring. But the point is I like her effective use of lighting here. There's the link. Again, favorite it, comment on it, follow her, tell her I said hi. All right. Ooh, let's go with this one. This one's titled Princess Luna by Murphy Law for me. It's been a little while since we've heard from him. If I recall right, he has some personal things he's doing I'm not going to get into. But anyway, when I saw this one, I was like, oh, I love this one. I know I've been showing a lot of his work on here before, and I've always commented about the shading and lighting that he's really good at. But in my humble opinion, this one is taking a lot of things to the next level for him. It's insane how well his shading has. Just go take a look at some of his other stuff, folks, and you'll see what I mean. There's that. Anyway, as I was saying, check out some of his other works and you'll see what I mean by that. What's really impressive is the amount of contrast in, say, like her face versus the background, and then you compare them to, the in-betweens. It's really an impressive range of shading, and he makes really good use of it. Something I made in the comments on this picture, I said, you could color these, and certainly that would look good if they were colored, but in some respects, too, folks, I feel that keeping it as is far more effective than coloring it. And if he keeps drawing stuff like this, I will always stand behind that. Oh, which one? I'll do one more before I do a comic. This next one is by our good friend Yakovlev Vad, titled A New Spell for Real Magic. And no, that's not the moon from The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask in the background. It really isn't. This one I saw and I'm like, here's another one that I need to put in. I know I show his work a lot, but I don't care. I love this stuff. Good attention to detail on this one. Check out her hair when you get the chance. The lighting on her horn and the little magic balls she has floating around, that's a good use of that magic effect they use in the show, but kind of interpreted in his own way. I like that. Can you hear me now, Nittany? Y'all can hear me, right? This is for everyone. You can hear my voice, right? We had a buffer drop. Anyway, so what do you have to say about this picture, folks? I didn't... I was trusting... I had trust in MIPS today that it would go solid, because last I was streaming, it was solid. But anyway... let me send you the link. And we shall move on. Yeah, like I said, guys, feel free to chime in with your own opinions on the piece at any time. Oh, nope, I'm going to save that one for a little bit later. This next one is by a new guy, Omni87, titled Royal Roommates. It's a comic, and sadly I'm going to have to blow the whole thing up, and what was I going to say? You're going to see everything, but I'll go through panel by panel. Darling, it's over. Stop dwelling on it so much. But it still bugs me. How did Queen Chrysalis get past my force field? Chrissy, Oh, I invited her in. What? Sorry, I didn't mention that to you. Luna, she imprisoned me and impersonated me, nearly killed your sister, and tried to take over all of Equestria. Not to mention brainwashing me. But we were college roommates. It would have been uncouth otherwise. Check that picture out. That's awesome. There's a little carry on in this comments. You guys want me to read them? Of course you do. She may have been evil, but she's still royalty. It was the sensible thing to do. Inviting a love-draining shapeshifter is sensible? Would you rather give her an excuse to be mad at us? I guess not. Take care, Wonderbolts. There's the link. By the way, that picture at the very end, I can't get over that. That is an awesome picture. Trotley crew. Oh. No, I'll do that one later. Alright, this next one's titled Muted Prism. This one's by Looted. Looted Muted Prism. I've shown her work on here before, and I know it's usually been a pretty big hit with everyone. The thing I want to bring up, though, about this one is the fact that it's colored. I know I've shown most of her work on here before, but it's been either subtle colors or black and white. So this one really stuck out to me. I'm like, stop the presses, folks. I got to show this one. The detailing in the coloring on Rainbow's mane here is something really exquisite. Check it out when you get the chance. There it is. Quote, I've never actually uploaded anything Rainbow Dash before, so here you go. Chalk, watercolor, colored pencil, charcoal. This is a really old drawing, so I have no idea if it's really chalk. I just felt like something powdery that wasn't charcoal on, that didn't have charcoal on it. End quote. Oh, really, Iwa? That's an interesting. It's an interesting point, and certainly worth bringing up. Okay. Anyway, as I was saying, I hope she does some more colors in the future. By the way, Iwa, check out her work, and you'll see kind of why it is that way. But I'll leave that to you. Fair enough. Fair enough. Anyway, let us move on. No, showed that one. You know what? I'll do another comic. I've got quite a few comics here, folks. This next one's titled Cut to the Chase by Toxic Mario. I love this one. This is just good, silly humor. Hey, you! Didn't your mother tell you not to run with scissors? That last panel just kills this one for me in a good way. It's, not only is it a sense of breaking the fourth wall, but It just conveys everyone else's reactions to this. There's that. Yo. The cat silencers were better. Anyway. Okay, I'll show this one. This next one is titled The Magic of Nature by Gardelius. Yep, hope I pronounced that correctly. Brace yourselves, folks. Tough call, Alex M. I saw this one last night, and I said to myself, oh, this has to go on. This just has to come on to my show. I'm just going to kind of let this one speak for itself. I don't know what you were thinking there, Gardelius, when you thought, let's make it an animated GIF, but kudos to you. That was a smart move. Blah, swirly garbage. Or glarbag. Alright. Moving on. Which ones were the comics again? This one. We got one comic left. Whatever, GIF, I don't even know anymore, Hyper. I just say whatever it is anymore and hope people get it. Kind of like intestine versus intestine. Or tomato. Anyway, different subjects here. This one's titled Moonride by our good friend Death Pony. Yeah, I know I said no Galacon or BronyCon picks, but this one was so good I thought, you know what? I'll show this one anyway. I was debating if I should or shouldn't, and I'm actually kind of glad I am. There's some other things that you should probably check on his profile as of late, but choosy devs choose GIF. Learn to grammar. Alright. Shall we get back to this, folks? The thing that really sticks out for me about this one is, surprise, surprise, the lighting. But here's the thing, is I know I've told you that Death Pony's been pretty good with lighting, but mostly it's a or late dinner, folks, forgive me. I don't think I remember him doing something involving the moon like this, or at least, where it's really dark light but a really bright source like the moon here. So it's a really good job on that there, Death Pony. Are those rocks she's surfing on? I think that is. Overall, I looked at this one and I just said, oh, this is another one that has to go on. There's that. That is true, Nittany Discord. In this case, I can get away with it because it's just a picture it's just a picture in a world of magic ponies. But yes, technically you are correct. Anyway, let's move on before we start another argument of some sort. This next one is by our good friend Rubelgun, titled Snowway. Let's see if I can't blow this one up a little bit. Yeah, there's the detailing. I know I've mentioned his snowing effects before, but what really sticks out to me about this one is actually the feeling of it. This feels cold. I think what helps is the machinery in the background there. Anyone who's ever lived in a cold an area where the climate eventually turns cold, you probably know exactly what I'm referring to. But for those of you who don't, this is about it. This is about as cold as it feels. It can get icy. The breathing effects are really nice on here. Good attention to detail on that. There's that. Feels like an LCD screen. Anyway, yeah, let's do him. Yeah, he said he wasn't going to be here. That's right. Got two of them here by Alasso. This first one's titled Bath Time. Kind of a continuation from last week with his other anthro work. This one, of course, involves Derpy. And this one was just one of those uber cute ones that I couldn't help but put in here. Yeah, those bubbles only add to the adorableness. Some artists do that, Vordox, believe it or not. I've seen in several instances where it's an anthropomorphized work, not necessarily exclusive to ponies. Some of them may keep the feet, as in the feet that we humans would walk on. They might keep it to the original animal, but they'll give them human hands. Wherein likewise they might give them human feet. I suppose it's just a matter of preference. Don't worry, Vordox. I give you the link to the source. I'm not going to link you to Rickroll or something worse. Anyway, speaking of which, in that same vein, this one's titled Great and Powerful Painter. If I can't blow this up a little bit. Not without really losing the picture here. Okay, anyway, Great and Powerful Painter. This is another one that I like where he's going with these. They're really cute, and I think what really helps with this cuteness here is the big head versus the big head and the slightly smaller body. It kind of works off the same way as a teddy bear or some other stuffed animals of that like. If you take a look at them and you'll see what I mean. But thing that I like about this one though, or I would suggest, more stars on that painting, Alasso. Good point, Naomi Tan. That's a good point. Couldn't find the word for it. Most of them do have a big head with some variant of a smaller body. It's very childish in design. That's not a bad thing. I'm not using it as an insult. I'm meaning it as a description. Mm-hmm. Okay. This next one is titled Dear Sister by I Am Not. I saw this one and I said, here's another one that has to go on the show. Again, the lighting is really great here, but what I think sticks out the best, in my humble opinion, are the emotions of these two. Forget Celestia for a minute. It's Luna that I was the most interested in. That face just says pure, unadulterated envy and rage. I Am Not captured the emotion of that very well in Luna's face here. Almost looks like a Jedi. Best Sith. All right. Link. That too, Naomi Tan. She said that you can really see the regret and doubt in Celestia's eyes. And I have to agree with you. You do see that. Now that you mentioned that, Wiper Gone 2, that's a good point. Check the lighting differences here. Celestia is in a very bright, glowing aura, while Luna is in a bluish, cold, in the background and in a darker aura. That's a good use of that to really highlight a lot of things, whether it be the regret or the anger. All right, let us move on. Still got 4 pieces left. This next one is titled Rarity Search, a Commission by Aaron JVL. This one, I want to just... best way of putting this one, folks, if you've ever seen the show The Joy of Painting with Bob Ross, this looks to me just like one of his paintings. I've seen so many being on Toxic Mario's stream that I got such a feel for the man's work. And the background, the mountains and the landscape look just like something out of his work. And somehow, some way, Rarity just walked in on this painting. That's what was so much fun with this one. Quote, it's been about 2 months since I submitted anything here, so here's something. Hope you guys like it. End quote. Iwa. By the way, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Nittany. And yes, in case you're wondering, I have a huge amount of respect for Bob Ross's work. So that is a compliment. Okay. Anyway, let us move on. Oh, there's a happy cloud up there. Hiccup Apple Nod in the top left. There's some happy clouds. If you've never seen The Joy of Painting, though, folks, I highly recommend it. It's worth at least 1 or 2 episodes of your time. Okay, last. This next one is titled Ambassador of the Night by Cyber Drace. Or Drake, Cyber Drake, I think it is. That would make sense. Anyway, Cyber Drake's Ambassador of the Night. Check out the reflection on this one, folks. I'll see if I can't zoom in on this. I like the choice of reflection Cyber Drake did here. And the reason being is because most people, when they do a lunar reflection, they have her as Nightmare Moon or really evil. This one doesn't. And I think that's a good thing. Yeah, we've all seen the Nightmare Moon in the reflection, and that's fine and all, but what's nice about this one is the fact that it takes a different path. It says, how about just an epic Luna face? Alright, I'll scale it back here. Really good job on the detailing here. Check out the snow effects. They're kind of cloudy. It's like there's a fog on it. Yeah, how about that suit? There's the link. Mr. Ben. Alright. 2 more bits, folks. I'll save the comic for the end because I always like to do a comic to finish it off. This one is titled A Midsummer Who's Dream by Saturn Space. Before I say anything here, folks, before I say anything else, we here at Babble with Bronies would like to wish Saturn Space a very happy birthday. I don't know. It was yesterday, the 3rd. I was hoping he would show up, but I do not believe he is here. However, hopefully when he gets this recording, he will see that, yeah, we wish him a happy birthday, all of us here. Anyway, I'll zoom in a little bit and get a better glimpse of this. Yeah, for those of you who don't know about Saturn Space, check out his work. He does this steampunk variants of Doctor Who's and Derpy. It's really fascinating stuff, and he has a grand eye to detail. Not only just the little stuff, but the big stuff. We're talking entire cityscapes that he's done. I can't recommend his work hard enough for that very reason. By the way, there's a Easter egg in here. What it is, I don't know. There's always an inherent lag or delay, Wonderbolts, but that's another story that I'm not going to explain. By the way, check out the suitcase, or the trunk that Dinky is on. I can't tell if that's it, but all I will say is check that out in Saturn Space. Happy birthday and good work on this. And finally we get this one. This one is titled Applejack's Dream by the BwB brothers. Let me get a water first. Ever since my Philly days, it was my dream to go to the human world, find a lonesome cowboy and ride him into the sunset. No real good zoom on this, so I apologize, folks. Ain't gonna happen. Cowboys ride no ponies. Yeah, she's ripping up her hat here. Ride like the wind. Yeehaw! Don't push it, kid. I saw Clint Eastwood in this one, and I had to put this one in here just because I've always wanted to do a Clint Eastwood impersonation. And for you guys to hear it is just icing on the cake. Agreed, Muffinshire. All right, folks. That's it for art, so video time. Let's go with this one by Carbon Maestro titled Blades of Inferno, Derping Carrot Top's Epic. Blades of Inferno, Derping Carrot Top's Epic. Yeah, I gave MIPS a second chance, and methinks I'm starting to regret that. Anyway, my problems aside, wrap this up with you guys probably saw this one earlier in the week, but hey, I am yesterday's news, so this one's titled Daring Do: The Secret of 13 by AI Stiff. Daring Do, The Secret of 13 by AI Stiff. Or that, or yeah, XIII. But I think it's 13. Link. Where have I heard that before, Mr. Ben? And that's it, folks. That's it for the news, announcements, art, and videos. So let's move on, shall we? So, topic of the day is background ponies. To be quite frank, folks, I didn't know much what we wanted to talk about in terms of them specifically. But I thought, so my notes here are just on 5 specific choices. But if there's something in specific you guys want to talk about with them, throw them in the chat here. For the record, if you didn't read the synopsis on my DeviantArt page, as I said I would put it, for one reason or another, maybe you weren't here, we are not talking about Derpy. I repeat, we are not talking about Derpy, because we're going to talk about her in a future episode. Specifically, the episode after Season 2, Episode 14. So we're going to, we'll talk about her in a special episode then. So, background ponies. What do you guys, like I said, what do you guys want to talk about them specifically? It's partially because of what Mr. Ben said there, Matt the Shadow Man. Actually, it was completely what he said there. If we do talk about Derpy in here, we're going to be here focusing wholly on her. So I thought, that's not fair to everyone else. Everyone seems to be throwing their, everyone does seem to be throwing in multiple things here, so I guess I'll just ask this. What is everyone's favorite background pony? And why? Good water. A background pony, by my definition, now I'm going to say this again, by my definition, is a pony who has no name in the show. In the canon show, they have no name. They have no speaking role, or a very small speaking role. How they got their names and such is mostly by fan work. We are the ones who named Derpy. We're the ones who brought her to life. Same with Lyra, same with Bonbon, same with Doctor Who, same with Colgate, same with all of these. So these are all, like I said, characters who basically aren't the main 6 and aren't people like Zecora, Big Mac, or Fancy Pants, the like. And that's exactly it, Mr. Ben. That's a good character of what's known as supporting cast. Lyra would be a background pony. She has never been named in the show. And to be fair, yes, a lot of you are going to be saying merchandise has named these ponies. Merchandise, whether it be the blind bags, the comics, maybe some other piece of merchandise is going to name them. Yes, I realize that that's going to name them, and more importantly, that probably names them in the show. But we're just going to work off of exactly what Mr. Ben said here. Merchandise is not exactly equal to show. So, even if it's named in merchandise as, say, Lyra or Bonbon, we're going to treat those two and others like them as background ponies because they are not named specifically in the show. So we're going to work with that. Now I'm going to repeat the question here. I'm going to repeat the question here. Who is your favorite background pony and why? We'll get to that in a second here, Matt the Shadow Man. But for now, just please answer my question. Good answer, yo. Hyper. Her design is quite cute, Nittany. I'd say my favorite, feel free to keep throwing your guys' in. My favorite has to be Vinyl Scratch. Why? I love that design a lot. It looks basically like they took an entire rave scene, took a pony, and combined the two. There's a point I'll be bringing up concerning that, Matt the Shadow Man. And yes, we will be. It's probably going to be my next step. Actually, is discussing canon versus fanon, how we affect things and stuff like that. But I see a few people are still throwing their favorites in, so I'm just going to kind of let that keep going for a minute. Yeah, she's got nothing on me, Mr. Ben. Okay, it seems people are moving along here. Something worth noting is what Matt the Shadow Man brought up earlier. What's the difference between... I'm trying to find a nice way of wording this, and Matt, if you can reword it such that it's a good question for everyone to ask, please do. But you brought up concerning all of our interpretations. They're based upon fanon interpretations of things. And there's a difference between canon and fanon, so I kind of want to address some of this stuff. But I'm not sure how exactly to ask it as a question for everyone. So just give me a minute to think. And like I said, Matt, if you have it... Okay, I think I know how to ask. Yeah, it just dropped again. Okay, thank you for that, Matt. So yeah, I'll ask that for everyone's sake. What makes you like your favorite background pony? And that was actually what I was just going to ask. I was going to say, okay, I think I got it. But thank you for that. when you see it from the show or what the fandom produces in art, comics, and fan fiction. I did see a lot of the stuff that people liked about their favorite background pony, and most of it was fan and interpretation. That doesn't mean we can't have some speculations on this Naomi Tan. But is that a bad thing, Matt the Shadow Man? Night, Finn Pony. It brings up a really interesting point here that you're bringing up, Matt the Shadow Man. The fact that, yeah, most of the stuff that we interpret with these, reading the text here, that's basically what I was going to say, Naomi Tan. I think that's what part of it, what makes this show so awesome. At least in the sense of not only just the show itself, but how, I hesitate to use the word special, but certainly wonderful, that given these characters, all of these background ponies that we have, we're basically handed to them by the show staff. They'll say, here's, unique would be a good word too. They give us a pony, unintentionally mind you, but they give them to us. We then take that pony and interpret them in so many lights. Whether it be they're sad, they're angry, they have an obsession, they're a crossover, whatever it might be. But the evidence is pretty darn clear that a lot of that stuff, or at least I'll say the most prominent of that stuff, does get noticed. Look at Doctor Who's, look at Derpy, look at... Actually, I would say those are the two major cases, but it's certainly worth noting. And here's a good point that brings up that, how do I want to word this one? OC ponies can't be in there because of various reasons, Naomi Tan. Some of them just being, some of it being legal reasons. Something else worth noting is the fact that we characterize them so colorfully, Matt, that yeah, there could be a story all around these characters that we characterize. I doubt it for various reasons. One of them just being the question of why doesn't this happen to the main six? Because if this doesn't happen to the main six, then what's the point of having them as the star of the show? And this is the thing that I don't think a lot of people understand. I agree. Having an episode around some other character is not a bad thing. But it's certainly worth noting that when you start bringing in a different character to focus the stories on, what happens is you'll end up getting this question raised. So who's the show about? The original main characters or the new main characters that they're trying to push in? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Matt the Shadow Man. You could even do an episode where they focus wholly on separate ponies, Matt the Shadow Man. The difference is like I said, the problem arises if you do it multiple times. And yeah, something like 22 short films about Springfield would be is a fantastic example of focusing on others in the best possible way, using just short stories, small bits about this character's life, and then putting it for us to see. That's a perfect example. I was going to bring that up and save it for a little bit later, but it's worth noting. That too, Thunderbolt. Coolio, J.E. Smith. But I would call the CMCs a main character, Naomi Tan. And the reason being is because we have stories around them. They're not the main six, but it's okay to do. See, as I said earlier, they're giving us reasons to care about these three. They can use them where the main six cannot or should not go. I guess that's about all I want to say. But the point is, the CMCs fall under that case of what I just said. I guess I refer you to exactly just what I said there, Matt. It still begs the question, though, Thunderbolt, and this is worth noting as to why anyone who's seen the show Scrubs is probably going to know exactly what I'm talking about here. For those of you who don't know, it's going to again beg the question of, so who's the show focusing on? The old main characters or the new main characters? And then they have to give us reasons why we should care about the new main characters. Despite not much of the structure of the show changing, Thunderbolt, anyone who's seen Scrubs, go watch any episode from any season, and then go watch, except for season 9, then go watch an episode from season 9, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when I say, why should we care about the new guys? And give us reasons to. That's, to be fair though, that's not a bad idea though. There certainly are good examples of reasons where if we did an episode around background characters and having either something reinforced from the fandom or contradicted to the fandom, contradictory or countercurrent to the fandom, that's not a bad thing either. I do agree. And again, I ask all of you asking, something like what Matt's saying. Keeping the main six as the focus here. Is that a bad thing? Basically right there, Iwa. Or Iowa. I try and keep names, I try and pronounce names correctly because anyone who knows me knows how much I get irritated by that kind of thing. Exactly. Exactly that, Matt the Shadow Man. And yes, I'm aware of that, J.E. Smith. The thing, though, is that The Simpsons will still have. Let me rephrase this. Let me rephrase this. The Simpsons are currently on season 20. See, 20 was in 2009. 23 right now. The Simpsons have a lot of time. They had and still have. Lord knows when they'll go off the air. They have time to do that kind of stuff. To keep the focus wholly on the Simpsons, the main family, yes, I agree, that will get stale. That does get stale. And I can't imagine it's exactly fun for the show staff themselves. So they have an excuse to, Mr. Ben, the day, no, not that. The Simpsons, have an excuse to work with some of the outside and background type characters, as you mentioned, Naomi Tan, because it changes up the formula and brings more characters in the frame. Bringing a new character in, is a double-edged sword. And funny enough, The Simpsons have a quote on that. Bringing in new characters is often just a ploy to pump new life into a dying show, as they put it. However, does that mean that every new character who comes on the show is, whether Simpsons or MLP, is a signal of the end of the show? No. No. Reading some of the comments here. I'll get back to that, Hyper. I actually have very little knowledge on that, J.E. Smith. I do know that they enjoy and have seen some of our works, some of the, and it dropped again. I do know that they have said something akin to, they enjoy our interpretations. However, here's a good point that's worth bringing up in my humble opinion. If the show staff were to actually do something with background ponies, as in maybe even just give them, do like a 22 short films about Springfield type of deal, whether they, as I said, solidify or contradict fanon interpretation, that's for them to decide. If they do solidify things, then we work on that. But something that's always I've always found funny about this show is whenever they do something about, especially something, a secondary character or something like that, I've always found that every time the show has ever done anything with them, like Princess Luna or Zecora, a secondary or background character, they both destroy and open up new doors for interpretation. Everyone who's been around this fandom for more than 2 months has probably seen something concerning Scootaloo being an orphan in one way, shape, or form. And I'll get to that, J.E. Smith. And what was it I was going to say? So imagine, Scootaloo is an orphan. So imagine this now, folks. Let's say the show actually does show Scootaloo's parents. Imagine everything of every single fanfic, every single fanfic, every single comic, everything concerning Scootaloo being an orphan has now just been flushed down the toilet. And that's my point, again, J.E. Smith, what I was hammering earlier. We could use this, I'm just going to use a basic storyline. The Don't Judge a Book by Its Cover one. So that would be Season 1, Episode 9. Okay. We use that on the main 6. We've already used that on the main 6. But let's pretend for a minute that we didn't. So now it's open for anyone's game, whether it be the main 6 or some other set of ponies. Could use it, but it is, as you're saying there, J.E. Smith, there are too many stories with the main 6 and Spike to split off for background ponies. Correct, Matt the Shadow Man. It's certainly correct, but as I said earlier, why would we waste those stories on other characters that we can use on the main 6? And here's another point I want to bring up to everyone. When you're bringing in new characters, except for cases, say, like where they're a plot device, like Zecora in Episode 9, or Fancy Pants in Episode 9 of Season 2, if you're going to make them a background or a main cast character, or you're going to make them even a possible secondary character like Zecora in later episodes, now you have to build the world not only around them, but you have to build their character. As I said, you have to make me go, so why should I care about this character? How do I want to put this? If you're going to make a story around them, you have to make me care about them. So now you have to characterize them, which requires work, which requires backstory, which requires maybe previous episodes, and so on, which takes time, effort, and money. Why would I waste all of that on some new characters when I have already established the other characters, the main 6? Why should I not use what's already established so that I don't have to use all that backstory, backstory, work, and effort. Why would I waste all of that on some new guy when I have the main 6 to work with? Spin-offs are one thing, but we'll get there when we get past September 1st. And you're right, Ryunosuke. There is, but that's another subject for another day there, yo. And that's exactly my point there, Matt the Shadow Man. To bring in a new character, as I've been, for one reason or another, if you're going to bring a new character in, it's a double-edged sword. Let's look at Fancy Pants, for crying out loud. No, we haven't gotten to him yet, so I won't go there. How about, well, I could even say Zecora. She works because she's not part of the main cast. Very little. She's only basically brought in when she's needed. And when she's needed, well, she's needed. But as I've said, they don't have to build a world around her. They don't have to establish some backstory. All she is, for the most part, folks, a plot device. She's just there to make the show work. As in, if you take her out, the show or the episode could not work, but to keep her in makes it work. Let me finish, Mr. Ben. To bring in such a new character is one thing for whatever reason, whether it be to breathe new air into something, or to make just a plot happen. You're right, that has to be done correctly. But there's a difference between using a character correctly, as you said, and when they don't. Mr. Ben's case of Dill is fantastic. Sure, Dill could probably, I do remember him making some stories work, or at least having some points outside of his movie, the Rugrats' first movie, that could work. But sadly, did much change? Not really. Did Dill bring anything special to the table? No. Sadly, all he was just a means of breathing new life into a dying show. That's it. There are characters like that. It's not hard to find. I think the best way of looking at it is if the character is trying to nose their way into the main cast, you can probably bet the show's going down the drain. To various degrees, Matt the Shadow Man. Some fall out slowly, some run fast. That's another story. That's another story for when we actually get to Derpy Crab Pony, but we'll get there when we get there. Characterizations, Wonderbolt. But let's... That's basically it right there, Naomi Tan. Case in point, J.E. Smith. As I said, the reason characters like the reason I said that Zecora and Fancy Pants, the reason why these characters work is because they're nothing more than plot devices. They're not trying to horn their way into the main cast. All they are just plot devices. Just kind of reading the conversation here. So then this begs a question here, folks. Is it a bad thing that we, the fans, are left to interpret things for these background characters? But here's a good question that is worth bringing up. In terms of the fandom, who's correct? Just kind of sitting here. I'll get to that in a second. I'll clarify there, Mr. Ben. I intentionally kept it a bit vague, but I'll clarify it. In terms of fanon interpretations, and amongst only to the fans, who is correct? Sums it up right there, Matt the Shadow Man. I think if there was one addition, though, to that, I would say is no one is correct and everyone is correct. And there's where I think a lot of the interesting things come about, Mr. Ben, is the fact that everyone there are so many interpretations, and there's always, of course, the, for lack of better terms, empty set interpretation, as in you reject all notions of fanon. We're not talking about that, crab pony. And that's not just for writers, but for artists, too. Matt the Shadow Man. Yeah, that is true. Semantics. And then that begs another question, J.E. Smith. What about those people who are what about cases like that? Does that mean that those who interpret Muffy as a derpin freak, Derpy as a muffin fanatic, are then they correct? That's a really good question. I'll ask that. So what happens when the show makes nods to us, folks? Does that confirm those who said otherwise, or confirm those who agreed with their notion, or what does that mean in the sense? The muffin scene came first, Naomi Tan. But what about cases of, say, that was my point, Mr. Ben. Good point. That right there, Iwa, that basically is the best way of putting it. Not necessarily, Matt the Shadow Man. And again, that harkens back to what we just discussed, is who is correct. he was referring to those that don't Ryunosuke. Some of them, like, I don't know. Yeah, what he's saying. Being the first is... I don't know how to put this. It's the first instance, Mr. Ben, so what are most people going to see? Season 3, Episode 5, Muffinshire. To be fair, that might have just been so that it's not distracting. I can only imagine that her levitating it would be distracting in terms of the scene overall. However, that's a good point. And I would buy that. And a no. I wouldn't say the show would be boring if we didn't get a chance to interpret it, Matt the Shadow Man. That's the point of the show, is to keep us engaged. But I know where you're going with, so I'll shush. Yeah, for those of you who are new here, you have to keep an eye on both the text chat and the stream, because you never know when I'm just going to sit here and because if the text chat has good points, I'm just going to sit back and watch them. Somehow I feel that that's going to be another 2-part episode. But I'm okay with that. So I don't hate taking extra episodes to talk about the same subject. Matter of fact, bring that on. I could do that all day, but not going to work. But anyway, Funny thing, though, is Mr. Ben and I have done both this kind of an episode, a talk of background ponies, and a derpy-centered episode before, so that's going to be fun to just revisit that. But we'll get there when we get there. Well, that depends, Naomi Tan. As in the show, they say background ponies. Why not? But as main character types, no. Now, in fanon interpretations, in the fanonverse, about the same answers. Sure, it wouldn't hurt. Our expanding upon a character like the fanon has been doing is not a bad thing. But I would not hate to see someone take another character and characterize them in a different way. We've gotten a billion stories on Lyra and Bon Bon. Why not someone else? Approaching towards the end here, folks. So I'm just going to ask this. Are there any last-minute topics you want to bring up concerning background ponies that maybe we haven't hit? I'm thinking of your question there, Matt the Shadow Man. It depends on the type of shout out there, Matt. If it's something like Muffin or Lyra's cutie mark on Bon Bon's saddlebag, that's just a cute shout out. And I don't think that's too bad. Something like derpy is a different story, but we'll get there when we get there. However, when I call something like that bad, I guess it depends. It depends on the kind of trait that's brought in. Because imagine this, folks. Oh, what's something I could say that's fairly safe? Let's say the fanon creates a character. Well, okay, I'll just use this one. Imagine, if you will, or you're traveling to another dimension. Take any shipping fic, however cute or dirty, and then put it in the show. Now do something like I originally said derpy would be something good, but yeah, like I said, take a that's my point, Crazy Rabid Pony. Right there. because that would change up a lot of things already established. In the fanonverse, we can get away with breaking the canon. We can get away with rewriting something. We can get away with making characters act otherwise. That's because it's someone's interpretation, whether that be a simple sexual interpretation or a different character interpretation or something on the entire world's, the entire, for lack of a better term, universe, an entire interpretation one way or another. But it's isolated only to that person and that person alone. The canon universe, on the other hand, is not. It goes out to as many people as it can. All right, you said it right there, Mr. Ben. All right, folks, we're going to wrap this up here. It's about that time anyway. I think we're just starting to cycle. I think we cycled quite a number of times, though. Anyway, let's wrap this up here. Next week, I'm planning on an interview. Hoping to get this one going. And after that, we're going to start Season 2. Talking about the premiere, and that's probably going to take 2 episodes. We'll see when we get there. Anyway, so hope you join us next week as we interview someone. No, I don't reveal until Wednesday. For myself and my co-workers, Mr. Ben and Twilight is Magic, we want to thank you all for coming here. Hope you like what you saw. Hope to see you next week. And if you have any questions, just talk to us. Otherwise, taking off here. I want to say thank you for showing up. Farewell.